Okay, and you are.
Okay, we're off with our local audience, where we got a couple more seconds to chat here. How do you predict you're going to do on Tuesday?
Well, no, we're going to do real well, but I'm not going to say, oh, I know I'm going to win, and I know what the percentages are. But everything that we've done seems to have been built with momentum. You know, there was no sudden blips up or down. And one thing that most people have given us credit for, you know, if you become a supporter of the philosophy that I talk about, they usually stick with us. You know, they don't come and go. So these numbers are up there. They're up near the top right now, if not at the top. So we don't suspect that all of a sudden say, oh, well, we looked at him and we're going to change our mind again. I think they're going to stick with us.
What about last time around, you had a very organized and very passionate base, too. Is it, on the basis of your assessment this time, do you have more volunteers, more money, a even better organization, or is it just the equivalent organization with a different cycle?
No, we have the same candidate and the same message, but the organization is much different. It's much, much bigger. Fundraising is much easier, many, many more volunteers. But the big thing is the country has changed. Now, 4 years ago, people weren't, you know, with me on getting out of Afghanistan. There were some, but now it's overwhelming. 70% of the people say we've had enough of Afghanistan. And they're much more frightened about the economy, and I've been talking about that for 30 years, warning about it. So I would say the country has come around to mandating, looking at another option, and that's why they're giving me some time.
Like Dick Morris, in essence, the other day said that a vote for you is a vote for Obama, and literally because your policies and some of these issues are identical on the foreign policy.
No, I think Obama too often follows some of the Republican viewpoints, so yes, they're going to be different. But I want to follow the Constitution and the advice of the founders and have a non-interventionist foreign policy. No, the establishment of neither party will talk about the Federal Reserve in a serious manner, or bringing troops home, or looking at the change in the tax code, or actually cutting anything. There's no serious effort to cut anything other than the one we have proposed in this campaign.
Now, last time we we talked about the Federal Reserve and Fort Knox and where our gold actually physically is. Have you thought about another just walk through and go visit? They haven't done this since the 50s.
Right.
So can you, as a member of Congress, say, hey, I want to go see the gold? Do you have the clout to do that?
I'm not sure. I should test it, and maybe after next Wednesday or next Tuesday, I won't have to be coming into Iowa quite as often. Maybe I can go to Fort Knox and check that out.
Hey, thank you for coming by, sir.
You're welcome.
You spend some extra time with us here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm not thank you. You can just file out, and these guys will probably follow you too. And when we're in the middle of a network news break here at the top of the hour, and we usually rejoin our local people about 7 after the. Hey, Dr. Paul. Thank you, indeed.
Hey.
If I don't get a chance to see you again,
to see you. Thanks
it's been a delight.
Okay, great.
You bet. So anyway, I'm not sure if we have a guest downstairs waiting for us. I haven't got any confirmation. Yes, right. All right. If not, we'll just, there's no reason why you just sit here and just staring into space for the next several minutes. This is a very informal process here. WHO is one of these radio stations that gets all over the Midwest. If you're a regular C-SPAN viewer, you probably have even seen us do this in the past. You just listened to the last 2 hours. And we're coming up on next Tuesday, and the caucuses are just around the corner for us. After Tuesday, Iowa will go back to being the flyover zone. You won't think of us at all again for another several years. And we fully understand that. Our role here is limited, but we do take it seriously. In case you're wondering what my personal biases are, I consider myself to be a Christian libertarian. And no, that's not an oxymoron. I think the second verse of the America the Beautiful describes my personal philosophy fairly well. Confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. That's how I look at it anyway. So you've been listening for the last few minutes, and you've formed some opinions. And I'm just going to ask you to blatantly politic for your guy or your woman here. And we're just going to open our earphones here from all over the country. You've heard from Iowa. Iowa likes to hear from you, too. And we just like the action. We like the jazz. I don't like it. Here's one of my own personal invitations for you guys. I don't like long statements. I like conversation. I won't yell at you, but what I do like is conversational talk radio. And we're polite here in Iowa, and we don't play gotcha. We enjoy the interchange. That's how Iowa does it. And if you could adopt our style here for the next few minutes, we will be on until the bottom of the hour in this segment. So we're just going to borrow you for the next few minutes at 284-1040 or 800-469-4295. And let's just begin. Let's go to New Jersey. And Joe, I know you wanted to talk with Dr. Paul. You were going to make a statement about his foreign policy. What do you think? Joe? Earth to Joe. Going once.
Jan, I'm here. Hey, how you doing, Jan?
I'm doing great. Thank you for calling.
Love your show. Yeah, I was hoping I could have got to get on there when Ron was on, but no big deal. But I just wanted to, it just gets me. I was listening to Michelle Bachmann, and it just made my ears bleed listening to her because I mean she's a smart woman. She knows her stuff, and I'm not here to knock her, but these people call themselves conservatives, and yet they have all the policies in order when it comes to the economy and what they want to do to fix things and create jobs, and yet they want to go to war all the time with everybody. And I just can't understand that because, like Dr. Paul just spoke on, they're both tied together. And with the trillions that we've spent already all over with all the military bases we have everywhere, it just makes no sense to me that they can't see this.
Well, I've talked with these presidential candidates over and over, especially Rick Santorum and Michelle Bachmann,
right.
and now Newt Gingrich too, on the issue of the Middle East and the terror and the terrorism, war against Islamofascism, however you want to label it. For them, it's a genuine issue. They are genuinely concerned. It is one of their biggest issues, dealing with the potential of an Islamist terrorist attack. And they, frankly, don't understand Ron Paul's philosophy here. They think that Ron Paul is naive on the issue, has too much. They think that Ron Paul his policy is too based upon rational discourse rather than the emotion-driven religious zealotry that they perceive that we're at war against. Ron Paul is a libertarian, and he really does believe that if you put two people together in the same room, you can find middle ground with just about anybody, and you can find a negotiated settlement.
We're going to improve the picture here a little bit.
I was trying to hide behind this microphone, and anyway, but those are totally different philosophies. Ron Paul thinks he can turn our enemies into at least neutral people if we just withdraw what they would perceive a belligerent foreign policy.
Well, his example that he gave about with Khrushchev and Kennedy and how we were in a war situation there with all the missiles they had pointed at us.
Right. And
with Cuba. And, like you said, Kennedy picked up the phone, talked to Khrushchev, and it was solved.
Here's the argument, Joe, and you can shoot me down if you think it's wrong. The communists were materialists. They didn't believe in a hereafter. And communists said, hey, we're in for the now. We can sacrifice a few years for the future. But in this case... all right, hang on, Joel. I'm going to continue. We've got to get back with my listeners here and refire the... Okay. I can do it. Whenever you're ready. Okay, here we go. We're back on the air. We're doing a simulcast in this section with our C-SPAN viewers and the WHO viewers. I just looking at one of the Twitter accounts here. 5 protesters were arrested this morning, just a few minutes ago, beating on the doors and windows at Ron Paul's headquarters. Yesterday it was Romney's headquarters, and today it is at the Ron Paul headquarters. While he was over here chatting with us, they were beating on his windows. They're the Occupy people, in case you want. They're the same people, befuddled people, still doing their thing all over the country. And no, Des Moines, Iowa is not exempt. And we were talking with Joe just a few moments ago, wondering why the conservatives seem to be more interested in war and don't understand Ron Paul's philosophy. And we were making the point, Joe, that the communist empire was materialism, and the communism materialists. They think they're atheists, and they think that you get one life and you're done. The Islamic fascists, they think if they are martyred in a war against the infidels, that's their only secure access to paradise in the hereafter. If you die as a martyr, you go directly to paradise. And the motivations for their form of totalitarianism, totally different.
Well,
go ahead.
I agree with that. I don't want to get too truther on you now, but here's what I believe. I truly believe that this is just a fear-mongering propaganda approach, and I base that on the things that I've looked into history on. And the things that Michelle Bachmann said just simply were not true. Ahmadinejad never once said that he was ever going to launch a nuke at this country or Israel. He's never said that he would specifically do that. And his interview that he gave on a Lebanese radio station that I had read, that was converted into Farsi, because they don't speak Arabic. And there was actually no Farsi term for the words "wipe off Israel off the map." There was no actual translation for that.
Well, here's my question for you, Joe. If Iran decides to block the Straits of Hormuz with the idea of damaging American economy, and that's what their stated objectives was, is they want to help bring down the American economy and using economic weapons in addition to all the rest of the weapons. If they decide to block the straits and drive up oil prices here, what should be our response to that form of aggression?
Okay, and as Dr. Paul had stated, if he believed that there was a threat to our national security in some way, that he would do something about it. He stated that hundreds of times.
Yep.
If it was a threat to us, if they were threatening our naval bases over there, and there was something that was threatening the American people, our military, our security,
right,
that he would do something about it, other than like saying how other candidates would just go, oh, like he said, I watched him on your show once, he said, if it was someone else, it'd be, oh, I'll just go in there and bomb them, and that's it. But I mean, they don't seem to want to look at things first. It's just like instant attack mode, without actually looking into the situation and going into Congress and looking at what's assessing the situation.
Yeah. And I agree with there is this is one of the biggest sticking points here in Iowa amongst conservatives, is the foreign policy issue is the one issue that Ron Paul has yet to close a sale on. Keep in mind, the evangelical community in Iowa makes up between 40 and 60% of potential caucus night voters. And the evangelicals have a high degree of affection for the nation state of Israel for both political and eschatological reasons. And it's a religious passion. And it's, you've heard, G.W. Bush and people in Texas, don't mess with Texas. The people who are the evangelical right here have the same attitude, don't mess with Israel. And that has huge foreign policy effects in the political marketplace. You and I, we might be able to disagree whether it should, but the fact is, it does. Hey, thank you for your call, Joe. I really appreciate it. This is Michael. Good morning, Michael.
Yes. Hi.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm doing great. What's on your mind?
I was listening to Ron Paul earlier when he said he didn't accept the
retirement
package.
Yes.
And I was, wanted to ask him if he ever thought of asking the senators who make, 3 times the average salary, if they should be paying for their own health care, their own insurance for their cars, their own gas, like the average person does, instead of with their $175,000 a year, we have to pay on top of that, all these things for them. When you save pennies, it runs into dollars eventually.
Yep. I'll leave that as a rhetorical question and well stated. Thank you, Michael.